Well, let's speak now to Sharon Graham, General Secretary of Unite the Union. Ms Graham, lovely to have you on the programme this morning. For the benefit of our viewers, I wonder if you might somewhat respond to what Mr Quince was saying there. Just remind us why your members involved with ambulances will be heading out on strike tomorrow, barring some last-ditch attempt by the government to actually sort this issue out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just listening to that, I mean, it's a woefully inadequate response. We are in one of the biggest crises that we've had in the NHS. And what the Minister has just said is that my door is always open, but not to talk to you about the very issue that you're on strike about. I think people will find that mind-boggling, to be honest. But what I want to say today about this is that we are prepared to negotiate. We have been calling on the government to come around the table and negotiate. I don't know where Rishi Sunak is. He wasn't even in the country yesterday. This is unfolding in front of his eyes. He's the leader. He is the core decision maker. He needs to get round the table. And so I say to him today, because I've heard that they're saying we can't get diaries together, etc. All the general secretaries are willing to come and see him to negotiate. And if he can't find a date, I'll give him a date, the 25th of December. He won't have any meetings on that day. We are quite prepared to come and talk to him on the 25th of December, if that's the only diary date that he's got, to make sure that we can bring resolution to this dispute. It doesn't have to be a long negotiation. We've done this already in Scotland. It's a very simple negotiation. We need a move so we can take that back to our members, and our members then can decide if it's a big enough move. But he is absolutely abdicating his responsibility as Prime Minister. He needs to get round the table, and he now needs to negotiate.
I wonder if you might just be able to clarify if the strikes, and the expectation is that they will go ahead, but if they go ahead tomorrow, just the number of people that will be out on strike and the level of service provision that will still be in place. Some concern, and you'll have seen the papers, the front pages of the papers this morning, that Category 2 incidents might not be picked up by those running the ambulances on those days. I mean, as I understand it, this is being negotiated on a kind of trust-by-trust basis.
Yes, and so this is, it's a bit disingenuous for them to be saying that we're going into a meeting to talk about cover. That cover has been spoken about for many, many days on a trust-by-trust basis. Because, of course, these workers don't want to be out on strike. They want to be in caring for their patients. They've been forced into this position because the government seems to have shut their ears to what has been said to them. So what we have said, and these negotiations have been going on now for a number of days, is that Category 1s will be responded to, obviously, and that there will be physicians triaging Category 2, because obviously sometimes Category 2s can escalate. But the real issue here is that this could be stopped. If the Prime Minister did the job that he is paid to do and started to lead these negotiations, I know the other General Secretaries of the other unions, we're in constant contact, we would be very, very happy at any time, including Christmas Day, to come and negotiate. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that patients are as safe as they can. But I just want to say this, patients are already at risk. There's 130,000 vacancies in the NHS. It's like there's a strike every day because we don't have the people in positions to do the jobs that need to be done. There are around 3,000 vacancies just in relation to the ambulance service itself. So the NHS is in crisis. We need to get more people working for the NHS, and this government needs to come back round the table to stop messing around and playing with rhetoric and doing column inches in papers and do the deal to get these people back to work.
Ms Graham, last week I spoke with someone from another union. It was Alan Lofthouse, National Officer at Unison, referring to the ambulance workers, perhaps getting to a level of frustration with the government's inaction, with the government's inability to sit down and discuss pay, and suggested that those working in the ambulances could withdraw critical care cover, that they could be refusing life and limb care. Are you hearing that from your members? And if so, would you be advising them to do that or to not do that?
I mean, certainly we're not hearing that from our members. The conversations we're having with our members is very much about how can we minimise what's happening to patients, particularly in critical care. Obviously, these people do this job because they love to do the job. They're not going out on strike lightly. This is not a decision that's been taken lightly. So we will do everything in our power to protect those people in those situations. These people are carers and they've come into the system to care. But I do think that what we've heard this morning, hiding behind the pay review body, hiding behind, we might talk about this next year. The pay review body, just to be really clear, is working under the remit of the government. And in 2014, the government ignored the pay review body and said it wasn't going to give the pay rise of 1% that it actually put out there. And so there was a pay freeze that year. And in 2018, the government did negotiate with us on salary spine. So it is totally disingenuous to be pretending that the pay review body somehow is the reason for them not coming to the table. I'm just stressing again, in 25 years of negotiations, I have never seen such an abdication of responsibility from the key decision maker in a negotiation. Rishi Sunak is the key decision maker here. He needs to come round the table with the general secretaries of the health unions, and we will do a deal with him that we can then put back to our members. That is the quickest way to resolve this dispute.
Do you accept, and I couldn't get the Minister to state this explicitly, but do you accept that with a nurses' strike, and nurses striking in significant numbers, with ambulance workers striking in very significant numbers as well, that there is a very real risk that there could be harm to individuals, that there could well be deaths as a result of this? I completely understand that this is not what your members would want. Of course it is not what they want. But the decisions that they have taken could result in that outcome.
Well, I think it's the decisions that the government have taken that has already resulted in that outcome. I mean, I saw a package on Sky around the West Midlands Ambulance Service, where in 2020, one person died. And this year, up until September, 37 people have died. People are already dying because we have 130,000 vacancies. I heard yesterday that a paramedic had chosen to go to work for Amazon rather than stay in the service. The NHS is crumbling and the government are watching it happen. And I have to say, I am very, very suspicious when yesterday the Treasury refused to even discuss a one-off payment, shut the door on a one-off payment, when that same Treasury, the Jeremy Hunt, was presiding over the NHS being part of the American trade deal not so long ago. I am very, very concerned that there is something more sinister afoot here. There's a very simple answer to this. Get round the table and negotiate. We saw what happened in Scotland. We got round the table and negotiated, and that deal went out to our members, and our members accepted that. We can do exactly the same here. It's a matter of hours, not months. Exactly the same here. Why are they refusing to do that? It's not an ability to pay issue. That is not what the issue is here. There seems to be an ideology that they want to drive and run down the NHS, and that is something very, very dangerous for everybody.
Sharon, Graham, great to have you on the programme this morning. I was about to wish you a very happy Christmas, but going by what you said earlier, you may well be working on the 25th.
Indeed.
So instead, I'll wish you a happy new year when it comes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.